Hello lovely peeps, I'm Lil, welcome one and all to Haunted Journey Tarot, and seriously, what happened to July? How are we already in August? I do not understand. I feel like I blinked and missed it. All of my tarot plans kind of went out of the window because there was chaos, there was work chaos, there was other creative project podcast chaos, there was car chaos, it was all chaos. And yes, best laid plans and all that. So I don't know whether I'll normally be doing these kind of wrap-up videos because I've been here all of 5 minutes. But I did think it would be useful, if only for my sake, this time round, because yeah, I just kind of lost the plot with what I'd planned for my tarot in the middle of the month somewhere. So I thought I'd just have a go through it now, see what changed, why it changed, and what I've got planned for August. So I won't show these too much because these decks I literally just showed in my last video, the Zombie Tarot and the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. So these were originally my planned decks for last month. And the idea was, because I got the Zombie Tarot in on sale, and I was planning to use the Zombie Tarot as like a daily oracle draw, to get to know it, because it kind of doesn't stick to the RWS too much. And I was going to use the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot, just jump straight in and use it for my main draws, my bigger reads, my sort of daily spreads, that kind of thing. But yeah, that didn't happen. Now, part of the reason for that, especially with the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot, is because it's a low Scarabeo deck. I love low Scarabeo because the cardstock is really lovely and flexible. The cards aren't too big. I can actually riffle shuffle them, which I can't do with something like the Zombie Tarot. It's just too big for my hands. They don't fit. But these boxes, I am not a fan of tuck boxes. They fall apart in my handbag in all of 5 minutes because I like to carry them around everywhere with me. So what I've started doing, inspired by Crystal Chronicles, is crocheting some little bags for them. So I've got myself some lovely yarn to do a little bag for the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. I'm very pleased with how I matched it. I think that works very well. But yes, as you can see, it is not quite finished yet. I'm nearly there though. Not got too many more rows to go. So when that's done, it'll be a bit more secure and I won't be worried about bashing the box out as much. But yes, so those were my plans. I do still want to use the Zombie Tarot next month as a daily read and get used to it. Almost like my oracle deck for the day. But basically, the only reason that didn't happen this month was because it got ousted by another new deck that I got in that I absolutely was not intending to get in this month. But I blame Nikki T. In a thankful and appreciative way, you understand, for showing on her channel the Dark Magic Oracle, which I immediately just was besotted with and went off and found was on sale. So I just, it would have been rude not to, really, wouldn't it? I'm sorry if these are a bit reflective. Yeah, if you get my ring light, apologies. It's just, they're very, very shiny cards. So yes, and I immediately paired this with the Crystal Visions Tarot. Now, aesthetically, these do not really go, so apologies for that. The artwork doesn't really match. The reason I paired these two together, and the reason I wanted to get the Dark Magic Oracle in the first place, was because of the nostalgia vibes. Now, I think this is just a me thing. I'm sure other people looking at the Dark Magic Oracle will think, what on earth are you talking about? But for me, this deck and the Crystal Visions Tarot, but in a different way, both have a real kind of late 90s, early noughties nostalgia kind of vibe. And I can't really explain it other than that. When I saw Nikki T show this deck and I bought it, we were in the middle of binge watching The Ghost Whisperer. I don't know, did any of you watch that when it was on TV? I missed it the first time round, when it originally aired. I don't know, I didn't even hear about it. I don't know how I missed it that much, because it's definitely my kind of jam. But I think at that time I was kind of moving around a lot. There were several years where I didn't even have a TV, so that probably explains it. But yeah, as soon as I saw this, it just gave me Ghost Whisperer vibes. I don't know whether it's the color palette, the kind of artwork. It's the same. It's the same with the Crystal Vision Tarot. I'm not the only person to say it kind of gives them that sort of whimsy goth vibes. I don't know what it is. And I don't know why these work together either, other than the kind of nostalgia vibe, because the artwork, as I said, it just doesn't really match at all. But the second I put these two together, they just absolutely sang. The readings have been just beautiful, and I just couldn't put it down. It helps that, I have been on a bit of a nostalgia kick. You can probably understand why. This year's not all that, is it? And you don't get me wrong, I'm not kind of looking at the noughties and early 90s through rose-coloured, well, I suppose I am a little bit looking at it through rose-coloured spectacles, but I'm not naive. I'm not saying that there was nothing problematic happening in the noughties and 90s. Of course, there were many of the things that are still problematic right now. But I think the difference was, for me then, there was a sense of hope that we would get it all sorted out in the future. And more specifically, I believe that my generation, once they got mature and became the members of parliament and, the government and people in charge, I believed that we would sort it out and that we would fix the problems and make everywhere a better place. And that didn't happen, really, for the most part, because I am old enough now that my generation are the ones in parliament and government and in charge of things, and they're not really doing the best job, unfortunately. So I miss that. I miss that feeling of, yes, there's problems, but we're going to all sort it out. The only thing I can hope, I suppose, is that the generation below me is feeling the same. Yes, there are problems, but our generation are going to be the ones to sort it out in the future. And I have faith that they will. We have to have faith that they will. So yeah, that's been my nostalgia kick for the month. I'm not really ready to put it down yet, if I'm being completely honest. It's too good. So I think it will definitely still be in rotation throughout August, but I'm going to try and make a bit more room for some other decks as well, rather than just exclusively using these ones. They weren't the only decks I used, though. I had some specific decks that I used for my daily draws, and I've been doing some daily draws from actually my Seasons of the Witch planner, because these have some really, really nice monthly spreads. But I haven't been doing them as monthly spreads because basically I've got loads of other monthly spreads to do. Like I'm doing Ethony's Tarot by the Moon. So you get a full moon one and a dark moon one, and then having another big monthly spread on top of that has just been a bit kind of overwhelming. I've not been fitting it in. So what I started doing instead was just taking one of these spreads, just starting it whenever during the month, to be honest. It didn't really matter when, and just doing a card a day, basically, and building up the spread. So that's been a lot of fun. And for that, I've been using the Desert Illuminations Tarot, just because it's a summer deck. It's one of my summer decks. It's been matching the hot vibes, because yeah, I know I've mentioned it before, we have been in what seems like constant heat waves from May until now. This is the beginning of August, and we just had our first rain, like a tiny little bit of rain in months. My garden does literally look like a desert. The tiny patch of lawn I've got left is just like dry. It's just dry and brown. But also, I only got this deck, I don't think I got it in time for summer last year, or maybe just at the end of it. So I haven't really had a full summer to work with it, and I absolutely adore the whimsy of these cards. I love having the aliens in it, and I mean, look, the ghosts and things popping out of here. I love the kind of summer energy and the colourful. There's a lot of rainbows going on. It's just gorgeous. And yeah, the aliens are just I adore the aliens in this deck. So yeah, I've been doing that for my kind of sort of daily draws / spreads. and it's been working very well, and I've just been enjoying getting to know it a bit better and working with it a bit more. The other deck that I've been just doing my bigger spreads with, so when I do my monthly spreads, is the Wicked Moon Tarot. I only got this, I was a bit late to the party, I think everybody else got this last year. I only got it this June, and I got it for a solstice trip, and it worked wonderfully. I love the storytelling that goes on in this deck. There's just so much to look at in each card. I love the fact that you can, if you pull all the suits out and line them up, they kind of fit together. Not exactly, but they fit together enough to make like a landscape, which is incredibly cool. And it's just, yeah, I didn't want to put this away yet because I only got it at the end of June, ready for the solstice. And I just wanted to get to know it better because this has proved so far to be an incredibly good reader for when I'm out and about and reading landscapes. And that is something that I want to do a lot more of. And hopefully this is going to be kind of one of my stalwart decks for doing that. So I really just want to put it through its paces and familiarise myself with some of the cards, because it's mainly RWS, but it does stray a bit from the RWS in some cards. Some of them I still haven't really got my head round, to be honest. This one in particular is very different to the standard RWS. So yeah, there's some cards like that I really I need to put in the hours with it so that I can get those intuitive reads in the moment when I'm out and about. So yeah, that worked really well. That was planned, to be honest, to continue using this more. The other deck that I've been using just because it felt right in the moment, it wasn't planned, but it's worked really, really well, is, sorry, I took that away really quickly, Laura Tempest Zakroff's Liminal Spirits Oracle. And this I've been using for kind of my weekly energy. So I'll pull a card at the beginning of the week, and that will just stay a whole week and kind of give me a sense of either what energy I need to put into the week or a kind of overview of what it's gonna be looking like. And I just, this artwork, I can just fall into it. And I think it is more of a summery deck for me rather than an autumnal deck. There's a lot of blues and greens and kind of, well, and there are some autumnal cards as well. But yeah, look at this ocean card. I just want to jump in there and and sink into it. I love the fact that there's no borders on these cards, so you can really just kind of, you get sucked into the artwork. I love the medium. Laura Tempest Zakroff paints on, I think it's like birch wood, sheets of birch wood. And I love the texture that brings to the cards. And it's just, it's a really sumptuous, delicious deck that is so evocative. Like this walnut card, there's just so much kind of gut reaction that I get from this card. It's one of those where I kind of almost don't need the guidebook for it. It does have a decent guidebook. That's, you know, it's a fairly substantial one. I mean, it's not, you don't get pages and pages for each card. It's just, you know, kind of a fairly short, succinct write-up. But I don't feel like you need any more than that, because the cards just bring up so much feeling immediately. Well, at least they do for me anyway. So I've really been loving that for my weekly read. And also, because I like to have my weekly read up all week, these are just such lovely, big, beautiful cards to have on display. It's just like, you know, displaying a piece of artwork for the week. So I did get a couple more decks in. Again, it wasn't planned. I wasn't expecting to, but I got a couple of rune decks. Now, this one, the Runes and Roots Oracle, I have been meaning to get for absolutely ages. I had it on the list. I was originally going to pre-order it, and the only reason that I didn't is because this doesn't just have the 24 Elder Futhark runes. It also has these bind rune and ritual cards. And when I actually got a first look through them, I knew straight away I wasn't going to use them, because when I look at the breakdown of these bind runes, I can see other runes in there that kind of I'm sure this is a very personal thing, but I feel contradicts what the bind rune has been put together for, according to the book. I do quite like the ritual cards. So those are ones where, you know, I might use one of those on my altar. But yeah, the bind rune cards, it's a personal thing. I couldn't get down with them. So I knew if I got it, I was only going to use the Elder Futhart, but that's fine. I don't really want to pay full price for it. I know that sounds awful, but I'm kind of only using half the deck. But I did really want it because the artwork is just gorgeous. And I love the fact that it marries up plants with runes. I wasn't sure how that was going to go because I'm a very plant person. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the pairings, but I actually do like them. I'm going to get more into this deck in another video though, because I want to do a comparison of my rune decks. There's this one, the Runes and Roots Oracle, this one, the Runes for Modern Life, and I have another animal deck, Runes and Animal deck, and I want to go through all the Ets, they're called. I think it's like a set of 8 runes. There's like 3 Ets, I believe, I could be wrong. But basically, I really need to brush up on my runes. And I feel like doing a comparison of all these 3 decks and looking at how differently they've kind of approached the runes, because this Runes for Modern Life has a very different feel to the Runes and Roots Oracle, obviously, because this is very much like, you know, the images look like old illuminated manuscript, which is just gorgeous. I love it. But then this is very bright, very vibrant. Whoops, I just threw everything off my desk. Very modern look at runes, which I was fascinated by. I literally just stumbled across this when I was online window shopping. I had never heard of it before. I'd never seen anybody showcase it either. And I was just fascinated to see what the artist and author had done, like what direction they'd taken it to show the runes in this modern light. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it or not, but I actually really do. And it's a really nice deck to shuffle as well, because the cards are a bit thicker, which is something I don't normally like. But in a rune deck, you've only got 24 cards. So if the cards aren't reasonably substantial, it can actually be very difficult to shuffle because you end up with such a thin little deck. Whereas these, I feel like they're just the right weight to feel like they've got a bit of substantial heft to them, so they feel like nice to shuffle and they're easier to handle. I love that there's no borders. Again, it's one of these decks where you can kind of really sink into the picture. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing some videos comparing these decks and doing like a little brush up sort of mini rune study for myself and anybody else who wants to join in with me, obviously. And that really brings us to the last deck of today, which is my new deck, which is hopefully what I'm going to be using as my main deck in August, and that is the Crystal Keys Tarot. I finally got around to buying it. I have been desperate to buy this ever since it came out. And again, I was just waiting to sort of have the money for it to go down a little bit in price to be a bit more reasonable. Not that I think it was unreasonable. I just, you know, I'm on a budget, aren't we all these days? But I am a very much a crystal person. It's how I got started in my craft, my practice, in all, you know, the esoteric facets of my life. It was crystals that brought me there. And I've been on the lookout for a crystal, well, oracle or tarot, you know, not really fussy. I've been looking for the perfect crystal deck for ever since I started buying decks. In fact, the first deck I bought, literally the very first oracle deck I ever bought, was a crystal deck, but it was photos of crystals, and that's it's just not really my jam. I didn't resonate with it particularly well. This is the first crystal deck that I've seen where I've looked at it and gone, this person really gets crystals. You can, looking at the photos, I can remember the feeling of the crystal like the resonance of the crystal in my hand as I'm looking at it. The colours are just divine. I mean, and they have been matched so well, like the Five of Wands and red jasper. That fiery but productive, passionate energy. Oh, I can't get over how well all these crystals have been matched to the tarot archetypes. The like lapis lazuli for the star. I don't think there's a one in this deck that doesn't feel perfectly matched. Although, I mean, there's some like wolfenite. There are some more unusual ones that I definitely not familiar with. There's a couple of really expensive ones, like I can't remember what it's called, but the I think it's Alexandrite. The Queen of Swords on the cover is actually a very expensive crystal that like nobody's really going to have had much contact with, because it literally costs thousands of pounds, but it's, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. So yeah, there's definitely a few that I'm not going to know because I'll have never come into contact with them. Mostly not though. Mostly they're ones that, you know, you can get hold of. You probably will have seen in a crystal shop, and ones that I'm personally familiar with. But the ones that I don't know, I've just been really interested in looking them up, to be honest, and learning more, because my first crystal cards that I had were actually not tarot or oracle cards at all. When I was a kid, there was these, I don't know whether they do them anymore, but do you remember we used to have these magazine series where you had the first couple of issues were like 99p, and they would have like information cards. I think I had crystals ones, there were animal ones, and with every magazine you would get like a pack of information cards, and the idea was that with every magazine you'd collect some more. Do they do things like that anymore? I don't even know, but we definitely had crystal ones, and I was fascinated. So I used to really, really love learning about all the different crystals. So I've just the crystals that I don't know out of this deck, that's just how I've treated them. Like moldavite, I'm never going to buy moldavite, but I've heard of it. You know, I'm aware of why it matches the tower really, really well. And I'm going to just really enjoy looking up all the crystals that I don't know. I've been really enjoying going through the guidebook and looking at the crystals that I do know, and just seeing how, but you know, they've made the same links that I do when I'm looking at them and thinking, oh yeah, like Larimar for the Six of Swords. It's just, Chrysocolla for the Empress. Oh, I'll leave it on that one because I love that one. And Justice for Blue Kyanite. Okay, I'll put them away now. So yeah, the Crystal Keys Tarot was my kind of biggest purchase of the month. The one that it wasn't really on sale, to be honest, but I was getting a bit antsy. I'd kind of put it off getting it for so long, or it's probably not that long, but it felt like so long. I was getting worried that it was going to start going out of stock everywhere, because that has happened before, where I think it's the Arcana Folia. I didn't get that when it first came out because I wanted to wait for it to go down in price a bit, and then it just kind of disappeared everywhere, and you could only get it with like mad shipping costs. And I think it's come back in now, but it hasn't gone down in price, so I didn't gain anything by waiting, except, you know, not being able to get it for months. I still haven't got it because it's still quite expensive, but yeah, I was getting a bit antsy because this isn't a Llewellyn deck. This is, what's it, Red Wheel Wiser. So it's not one of the biggest publication houses, and it's probably not going to go out of stock or anything, but I was just getting a bit antsy that I wasn't going to be able to get my hands on it before it kind of disappeared, and it was difficult to get hold of. So yeah, that was my biggest treat for the month, really, the Crystal Keys Tarot. And I guess I'll let you know next month if my plans for August went any better than my ones for July. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I've got a out and about video coming next, I hope, with the Wildwood Tarot when I went even on a little trip to a Bronze Age archaeological park. And that was a really interesting reading, so hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. In the meantime, take care, and I hope you're all well. Bye.